Guess who's back? Back again. Ronald's back. Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? I think y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me out there? Can y'all see me? I think y'all can see me. Let me see. I'm checking, testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. I think everything good. Welcome, family. Another wonderful, entertaining, agitating edition of The Art of His Think. I am the Thoughts Provocateur. Brother Ron speaks, and we're gonna be having a great show today. Thank y'all for joining us. I know it's been a long time, Brother Dominique, Mariana, Sister Mariana. Thank y'all for coming out here. It's gonna be kind of short. I think this time the movie review will be shorter than the actual movie that I'm reviewing. Cause I got a couple of shows. Funny, I'm getting a couple of requests to give my take on the Judas and the Black Messiah movie that came out on February 12th. And I saw it, and I told everybody, if you are a true black media outlet, you should do your own take on the movie to not only just entertain, but to edutain and inform our people. Because go back to what Dr. Randy Short said, we love our traitors, but we hate our heroes. And Fred Hampton was a hero. He was a true people's champ like no other. Thank you, Brother Dominique. We love you madly. And like I said, people want me to be on their platforms. I said, how I'm going to be on other people's platforms talking about this before my platform. But let me clarify. I did at the Angry Black Man Valentine's Day show with Brother King BJ, as Brother Bernard. He's doing a great thing. Go to his YouTube channel, King BJ. Got a lot of great content on there, a lot of great guests, a lot of great insight. One of the best researchers around. But I said on there twice, because I want to get it first, because I already know it's hard for y'all to trust a black man. When a black man say something, it should always be contested. And there's nothing wrong with that, be honest with you. You should not always, accept anything on face value, because we are in the business of hiding the contradictions. But I mistakenly said that Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. birthday was August the 29th, 1948. It's actually August the 30th, 1948. It's August the 30th, 1948. That's when Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. came through on this earthly plane and did his thing for 21 years. And so I want to clarify that, because when I re-upload it, whatever, I'll make sure I have this public service announcement saying I meant Chairman Fred Hampton Sr.'s birthday was August the 30th, 1948. Please forgive me, black people. Forgive me. I have forsaken the trust and died. Whatever. But yeah. But who was born on August 29th? Charlie Parker, jazz music genius extraordinaire. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Dinah Washington, a queen like no other in the music business. I mean, she had a phenomenal, versatile voice. That's Dinah Washington. And also Sister Albertina Walker, one of the queens of gospel music. They were all born on August 29th. So August is a very powerful date. But Chadwick Boseman, he did die August 28th, which is interesting this past year. And Fred Hampton's birthday was on that on Sunday, excuse me. And, it's an interesting connection because, Daniel Kaluuya, who plays the lead of Fred Hampton in this movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, he also starred with Chadwick Boseman in the Marvel Universe Disney movie, The Black Panther. So all these interesting connections to Black Panther in so many different ways. But, August is known as Black August. It's really like one of the unofficial Black History months. So much stuff happened in August. So many people made their debuts and departure, including our Baba Dick Gregory on August the 19th in the month of August. So y'all should check it out. Take a look. It's all online. But let's talk about this. Before we get started too much, bringing up Baba Dick Gregory, what a blessing that I was able to talk to this brother, be a friend, and a recorder of his deeds and his thoughts for 6 years, the last 6 years of his life. So we got some gems I want to share with you all to lay the groundwork of what we're going to be talking about in terms of the review, and also putting in the Judas and the Black Messiah in historical context. See, people don't understand how detrimental J. Edgar Hoover's FBI was to the cause of Black self-determination and liberation. You know, like I tell people, COINTELPRO did not start in the 60s. J. Edgar Hoover made his bones in the 20s when he sought to take down and neutralize the one and only Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who was our greatest black mass leader in history. Led millions of black folks. You know, talked about going back to Africa. He never been to Africa, but the man had oratorical skills like no other. He spit them bars, man. He spit them bars. But J. Edgar Hoover made it his point to destroy Marcus Garvey and the Back to Africa movement using what now is known as COINTELPRO tactics. The first black FBI agent in American history, history, was hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey, and he was known, like you Google up Agent 800. His government name is James Wormley Jones, or maybe his government name was Agent 800. That could have been another Judas and Black Messiah movie before Fred Hampton, or William O'Neill and Fred Hampton. You could have did that on Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association, and how the FBI used black FBI agents like James Wormley Jones to bring Marcus Garvey low and set him up and put him in prison on his way to be deported back to Jamaica. But Dick Gregory discovered that J. Edgar Hoover wanted the mafia in Chicago, La Cosa Nostra, to assassinate him for his political involvement. You know, Dick Gregory ran for president back in 1968. So it's the difference between Dick Gregory and Shirley Chisholm and Jesse Jackson. And the difference was he actually ran for the highest office in the land. Shirley Chisholm and Jesse Jackson was running for nomination by a major party in order to run for the highest office in the land. It's a difference. So Dick actually ran and allegedly got 9 million votes in Pennsylvania, and the powers that be took it back. They got articles about that. Take a look. It's all online, and we talked about it on this platform. But let me play this video about Baba Dick talking about how the FBI sought to neutralize him permanently. We're going to play this video, and thank y'all for tuning in, for blessing us. We all be. You know, it's been a long time since I did a live stream. The last live stream I did actually was Judge Joe Brown. That was like a Jerry Kids marathon. Jesus. I mean, if it wasn't for the malfunction on his end, we probably been talking all the way up to 10 o'clock in the morning, or maybe as long as they allow us to run, because Judge was just going off. He was in his element. But that's been the last time I did a live stream. So now this is Black History Month. We're in the middle of Black History Month, and I got to do these live streams. And a treat for y'all, since it's Winter Wonderland down in the M-Town, I'm probably gonna be doing a lot of live streams this week. But okay. But I want to play that Baba Dick Gregory thing. We talked about how J. Edgar Hoover was trying to kill him and use the mob, was using La Cosa Nostra to try to knock him out, to rub him out. Rub him out. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Say, she rub it out the competition.
And so I'm the one with me and Mark Lane released the investigation and book that calls the Kennedy King assassination investigation. Mm-hmm. And the only reason we added King in it, Kennedy, because this racist Congress wasn't going to appropriate the millions it needed to investigate. So all at once, J. Edgar Hoover sent a telex out to the Chicago Bureau to kill Dick Gregory. Mm. And that was in '68. Some kind of way I had the memo before the FBI had it. Mm. It's somewhere in 1978, the Chicago Tribune found out about it. And those of y'all got computers. It's Chicago Tribune, Friday, March the 10th, 1978. Headline, front page. FBI memo, use mob to kill Dick Gregory. Those are the same folks. Now I tell you about some tapes on King. Mm. The late J. Edgar Hoover ordered the Chicago office of the FBI to develop measures to neutralize black comedian Dick Gregory. and suggests to use measures could use including alerting La Cosa Nostra. At that time, the FBI had never admitted La Cosa Nostra existed. La Cosa Nostra, to verbal attack Gregory had made on the crime syndicate. The agent is the filthiest. Crime syndicate is the filthiest thing on the planet. And on, right? So that's what we're talking about in this America.
And that was Bobby Dick Gregory talking about how Jacob Hoover was trying to take him out back in 68, I believe. That's the year he was running for president of the United States. And that's the year also when the I'm sorry about that. They had something, this Mercury retrograde going on. Only I know it's Mercury retrograde, the first one of the year. But he said that Jacob Hoover was trying to get him knocked off in 68. And Dick stayed in Chicago at one point. He was living in Chicago back in the 60s. He got his start, his break. He got his start in Chicago, also his first big break doing that stuff for Hugh Hefner at the Playboy Club. Playboy was headquartered in Chicago back in the 60s. Chicago, everything, kind of like it was the epicenter of a lot of political movements and other things, cultural awareness and explosions. In Chicago, that toddling town. But Jacob Hoover tried to get Dick Gregory knocked off in 68, allegedly, using La Cosa Nostra. That's the mob, the outfit, and there's also the Democratic National Convention happened that summer in Chicago. Then you had the trial of the Chicago 8, which became the Chicago 7, because they bound and gagged Bobby Seale, one of the co-founders of the Black Panther Party, during that trial. So it became the Chicago 7, but Chicago 8. But, a lot of stuff going on. So that came out, I guess, after Jacob Hoover passed back in the 70s. They were trying to do Dick Gregory. So imagine Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton, from my understanding, the Feds started spying on Fred Hampton when he was 14 years old, organizing the NAACP Youth Council in Maywood, Illinois. Once again, Fred Hampton was born August 30th, 1948. And, he used to be next door neighbors with a guy named Emmett Till. His mom used to babysit Emmett Till when they were neighbors, back in the day. So Fred Hampton actually turned 7 years old after they kidnapped Emmett Till on August the 28th, 1955. He turned 7 on August 30th, 1955. They found his body, Emmett Till's body, August 31st, and they pulled him out the Tallahatchie River down there in Mississippi. So his mom could not go to the funeral allegedly because she didn't want to see how he looked after death because he looked horrible. I mean, once you see that footage of him, that photo, it stays with you. I remember seeing Emmett Till's face when I was in elementary school. That image never left my mind. So if they was going after Dick Gregory, one of the most well-known people in America like that, and Fred Hampton was being spied on when he was 14, since he was 14 years old, this is how vicious and wicked this government is. You look at Dr. King. They started spying on Dr. King's family before he was born. They started spying on King's people, starting with his maternal grandfather, doing the Red Scare stuff back in 1919 when all this stuff was going on, anarchy, people blowing up buildings and stuff. So they started spying on the King family before Dr. King was even an idea. Before he was Michael King. That's another. His name was really Michael King. But this is interesting to behold. But let me play something also from Bobby Dick Gregory concerning Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers, his thoughts on the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton and what made him an exception to what he thought about the Black Panther Party. And we'll come right back. Thank y'all for being very patient. So much stuff to do, so little time. But I just want to make sure I give my review on the movie before I go on somebody else's platforms and give my take on it. Because I have a unique take on things. I like to do a historical analysis of stuff. So my review sometimes be longer than the movie, but today it'll be an exception, and I might do a part 2. dependent. All things considered. So thank y'all for being patient. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love y'all madly. And let me get this going. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay.
What about when you put Fred Hampton in the same class as Huey then?
No, 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 no.
Mm.
See, you just violated me. You should ask me, where do I put Fred Hampton? Don't say you put Fred Hampton. That's a violation.
Yes, sir.
Fred Hampton was killed because he wasn't talking about killing the white racist police. Fred Hampton said, look, when a black child goes to school at 5, that's the first time that child is tested for lead poisoning.
Mm.
He's had it all his life. So they started testing young black children for lead poisoning at 2 years old. They had a food program for black babies. That's what he got killed for.
So Dick Gregory said he got killed for trying to feed the kids and provide free health care for the people. And that's really why he got killed. He was a threat to the internal security of the United States of America because he dared, along with the Black Panther Party, to feed kids before school. They knew that if a child was not fed properly before going to school, they could not focus on being present in terms of the mind doing schoolwork. Oh, that was so revolutionary. Feed the children before they go to school. That cost him his life, being shot in his bed at the age of 21. That what cost Fred Hampton his life. And another Black history fact, I love Shaka Khan. I feel for you because I love you. And I love Shaka Khan. But y'all don't know Shaka Khan was a Black Panther Party member in Chicago. She used to help out with the free breakfast program. So Shaka Khan knew the chairman well, and she worked on his free breakfast program. I would love for somebody to interview Shaka Khan right now and get her thoughts on the chairman. You know, Judge Joe Brown, he did his thing. He worked with the Panthers. I believe he was a Black Panther. You know, he recruited a lot of Black Panthers to UCLA, including Elaine Brown. Elaine Brown. Also, Bunchy Carter and Geronimo Pratt, who was also Tupac's godfather. And I think the only time that Fred Hampton left the Chicagoland area was to go out to speak in Southern California at UCLA, if not mistaken. He spoke there. So Judge, no doubt, met him at UCLA probably. 69 was a crazy year. If you remember that Bunchy Carter and John Huggins was killed on UCLA campus back in January of 69. Judge Joe Brown was there. He said they tried to take him out. They shot at a chair, thought he was in the chair. So a lot of crazy stuff going on in 69. At the beginning of 69, you have the death, the assassination, the state assassinations of Bunchy Carter and John Huggins in January of 69. In December of 69, you had the state-sponsored assassination of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr., along with a defense captain, Mark Clark, in Chicago, that solid town. So why is this not better known, Black people? Why must we wait for white folks to green light a movie about our heroes for them to get their due in our community? What type of programming are we under as a people? I've been known by Fred Hampton for years. Not because I learned about it in school, but because I had intellectual curiosity. Once I found out information, I'll just go out there and look for more information. So I was blessed enough to call his mom back in December 2010, Fred Hampton's mom. I believe she passed away back in 2016. We lost so many people in 2016. But I called her on the phone because I was going to get in touch with his brother to interview his brother who is also deceased now, the late Bill Hampton, who was truly his brother's keeper. So she answered the phone, and I said, "Are you Chairman Fred's mom?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I want to thank you, ma'am, for raising a revolutionary son and for allowing him to, live out his destiny. I really appreciate you and your family." And she said, "Well, you welcome." And so I ended up talking to Fred Hampton's brother, and I recorded that interview for posterity. So this is what We All Be is about. I did that interview back in December 2010. I also interviewed Chairman Fred's lawyer, Jeffrey Haas. He was a Jewish fellow from Atlanta, but he went to law school up in Chicago. He was inspired, along with his partner Flint Taylor, to open the People's Law Office in honor of Chairman Fred. From my understanding, Chairman Fred wanted to be a lawyer. He would have been a great lawyer because he had a great mouthpiece. It's interesting. Like in the movie, like his love interest, Deborah Johnson, known as Queen Mother Akiwa Najiri. Shout out to her and her beautiful son, Chairman Fred Sr. I thought Dominique Fishback did a great job of portraying that beautiful sister and elder. She did a great job. And Dominique Fishback is a sexy black woman. My God, she was very tomboyish in that movie Power with Jamie Foxx. But what a difference a year makes. She is beautiful. She is gorgeous. But she really pulled out a very naturalistic performance of Sister Akua, who was known as Deborah Johnson back in the day. Let me see something. I'm just trying to do a couple things all at once. Y'all forgive me. Please forgive me. Not trying to be rude. Just trying to know you a one-man movement. You got a lot of stuff you got to do in a short period of time, but I want to reach out to you all and drop some dimes. You understand? So, yeah, but Fred Hampton, he very had a rhythm to him, how the way he spoke. He had a speech impediment when he was younger, I believe. And so, but think about it. Fred Hampton is a Virgo. Virgos are all about, perfection. They're all about obsession and perfection. People talking about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, before he was a Mamba, he was a Virgo. That's a hallmark of a Virgo. Real Virgos are very driven. They're very disciplined when they want something. Like I said, August 29th, Michael Jackson, Charlie Parker, Dinah Washington, Albertina Walker, all born on August 29th. Virgos. Michael Jackson says, study the greats. He was obsessed with entertaining and being the best entertainer this world has ever known. Baba Dick Gregory was like a Jegna to Michael Jackson. He would joke. He said, well, anytime Michael Jackson opened up the refrigerator and the light came on, he started performing. Because that's all Michael Jackson ever knew was to be a performer. He was driven to be a perfectionist. And a lot of folks envy Michael Jackson professionally. I mean, professional dancers that went to all the best schools in the world. The singers, they couldn't believe that a guy like this was self-taught. But let's go back to Charlie Parker, who would practice for 11 to 15 hours a day on his saxophone for 4 years. That's what Virgos do. It's not just a Mamba thing. That's a Virgo thing. So Fred Hampton will constantly practice speaking, listening to Malcolm X. He memorized all Malcolm's speeches, all his recorded speeches, allegedly. And he would, say them every day. That's how he became a phenomenal speaker. At 21 years old, to move the crowd, like Eric B. and Rakim, he definitely was rapping. See, with black leaders, that's why Colin Kaepernick, I would never put him on the level of Ali or Fred Hampton or Dr. King or Malcolm. These guys were wordsmiths. They were rapping to the people, man. They had a rhythmic flow, man. Bunchy Carter knew how to talk to the people, man. He was a poet. He would have been a rapper today. He would have been a Nipsey Hussle. They call him the mayor of the ghetto. Just 26 years old when they took Bunchy Carter out of here. Just 21 when they took Fred out of here. Tupac, a Black Panther cub. Mama was a Black Panther. She was framed by Malcolm X's chief bodyguard, Eugene Roberts, who was NYPD undercover bossy program. The same cat that was Malcolm's chief bodyguard ended up framing Afeni Shakur and the Panther 21. Look all that up. So this stuff is deep, man. That's why these rappers are targeted the way they are, because they don't know the power they possess. But once they figure out if they can survive past their 20s and 30s, once they figure out that they had some type of special power they could motivate people to do certain things, it's too late. They washed up and they're irrelevant. So that's why Pac was dangerous. You know, people talk about all this gang stuff, but Pac was trying to do what Fred Hampton did, but it backfired in a lot of ways. He was trying to build a rainbow coalition among the gangs, just like Fred Hampton did. You know, when Fred Hampton was out there, Fred Hampton, from my understanding, he was just a Black Panther for 6 months. How long was Tupac on death row? You know, I'm just saying, he was just a Black Panther for 6 months. But he'd been organizing since he was 14. So the government knew who he was since he was 14 years old. So the stuff is deep. You know, it's really deep. But, you know, Colin Kaepernick is not in the class of them guys. You know, every leader we had knew how to move the crowd. Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey. I mean, come on, y'all. You know, this is what they do. So Fred, he spoke fast like me. A lot of fast-thinking folks speak fast, you know. But he tried to slow it down, but Fred wanted to be a lawyer. He was a hell of a lawyer. Very persuasive, man. And I really do believe that Fred Hampton was a star seed. You know, people talking about what star seeds and whatever. It's like, you know, whatever. I think you always had crystal, indigo, star seeds throughout history. I don't think it's because of now. These people, no, they always been here. Fred Hampton definitely was an old soul. He definitely was. I mean, the man was way ahead of Malcolm and Martin at 21. What was Martin doing or Michael King doing at 21? What was Malcolm doing at 21? And what was Fred doing at 21? Imagine if Fred lived to be 39. If they allowed Fred to live to be 39, you know, the same age they took out Malcolm and Martin. You know, he was already advanced at 21. But think about, you know, man, think about H. Rap Brown. They try to take out H. Rap Brown, and he's in Supermax right now for something he didn't do. It's been proven he did not kill their sheriff deputy, but yet they still got him wasting away for what the things he tried to do in the 60s and what he was doing in his community down in Atlanta when they set him up. And yet we forget about him. I guess we got to make a movie about H. Rap Brown for y'all to get interested in him getting freed. We got to do a movie. We got to do a Netflix documentary or some type of HBO Max movie collabo with Ryan Coogler for y'all to get interested in freeing this brother. And I talked about Shaka Khan, and the guy who directed the movie, the Judas and Black Messiah, is named Shaka King. Shaka King, you know, so interesting how that works, but something to think about. So let's just see. Y'all found out about William O'Neal, right? And I'm gonna talk about, okay, the performances before I get too deep. Lakeith Stanfield, I love this brother. This brother knows how to pick roles, and he's a brilliant actor. He really is a very brilliant actor. From my understanding, he thought he was going to play Fred Hampton, found out he was going to play William O'Neal, the villain, and he cried about 5 hours after that. But man, he sold that part of William O'Neal. And like I said, it was like a Get Out reunion, right? You had Daniel Kaluuya, who was the lead in Get Out. Lakeith Stanfield, he opened up Get Out, and Little Rel. I love Little Rel. I met him before he became, you know, well known. And the guy is just so naturally funny. He's gifted to me. I just think that as far as the TV thing, I don't know why it don't work out for him. But in terms of his comedy, he's hilarious. I love him. I told him, you're going to be big, man. And I interviewed him about 6 years ago. I just, you know, never worked out, whatever. He gave me his direct phone number. I don't know if he still got that number. I might call him up. But yeah, it was like a Get Out reunion. But Lakeith Stanfield, man, he should get award-worthy nominations for his depiction of William O'Neal. Now, you love to hate William O'Neal, but he made him with some type of humanity, but also, I mean, he's a villain you love to hate. You know, he really sold William O'Neal. He really got into that part. He got so deep into it that they say he had to, you know, get some help after he had to get some therapy. He went to Heath Ledger Joker role thing. He went there with William O'Neal. Now, Daniel Kaluuya, I don't know, but he pulled it off. That's a sign of a great actor. Daniel Kaluuya, excuse me again. Daniel Kaluuya did a great job as Fred Hampton. Now, is he an ideal Fred Hampton for me? No, he's not. But he made it work because of his commitment to, you know, mastering his mannerisms, his voice. He had it down, the mannerisms. You tell he's a guy that's really about method acting. He's really a great actor, and kudos to him. I didn't care for Queen and Slim Psyop. You know, I didn't care for that movie. I liked them to Get Out. And to me, an ideal Fred Hampton would have been Mos Def about maybe 15 years ago. They could have had Mos Def as Fred Hampton. I think he tried to do something as Fred Hampton. He was working with Chairman Fred Jr. I don't know if they got anything out, but to have a feature-length movie with Mos Def maybe 15 years ago playing Fred Hampton would have been amazing. Because Mos Def, he got the charisma. I mean, he's a rapper. He's an actor too. He got the charisma. Because Fred Hampton was a handsome guy. Not saying Daniel didn't, but I'm saying Fred Hampton had the dimples. You know, you look at Fred Hampton. How can you say no to Fred Hampton? It may be rapping to you, whether it be a lady or a brother trying to sign up for the struggle. Fred Hampton put that charm on you, man. He had the dimples and the smile. Hey, I'm a revolutionary, brother. I'm gonna die for the people. I'm gonna live for the people. I'm gonna die for the people. We're gonna ride for the people. He just had that. And Daniel had some of that, but he didn't have all of it. It's like the brother who played Dr. King and Selma. He had some of that. I just like, hey, if Mos Def could have played Fred Hampton 15 years ago, oh my God. But anyway, it is what it is. But Daniel did a serviceable job playing Fred Hampton. He really did a great job of carrying the movie. Now, a lot of people say this was not a biopic about Fred Hampton. It was a biopic about Fred Hampton. But this is the only way you get a Fred Hampton biopic made in a racist system with people who believe in white supremacy. You can't tell a straight Fred Hampton biopic without putting it in this type of wrapping. Like the creator said they wanted a Departed. And y'all remember the movie Departed where Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, all-star cast, Matt Damon, they wanted that type of feel. It even had Martin Sheen, who was in The Departed, play J.Edgar Hoover. I think he did a great job of playing J.Edgar Hoover, a serviceable job of playing J.Edgar Hoover. But you can't tell a straightforward Fred Hampton movie and think you're going to get some money from Hollywood. When Spike Lee wanted to tell the Malcolm X story, they will only give him so much money to tell that story, right? So he had to get Bill Cosby, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, Magic Johnson, Janet Jackson, so many other people to pitch in for the budget for Malcolm X. And it's really Spike Lee's greatest movie. Now he has his flaws, historically speaking, and that could be another show. I'm not going to get into it deeply on this show. That could be another show because the anniversary of Malcolm's assassination is coming up. We could do a show about that. But he couldn't get the full budget for a Malcolm X feature film. So, and also, Marvin Worth, the producer who had the rights to the Malcolm X story, he brought those rights from Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's widow. Dr. Betty Shabazz sold the rights of Malcolm's life story to Marvin Worth, a Hollywood producer, for about around $100,000, I believe, back in the early 70s, maybe 72. And then, how much money that movie made? And his estate probably have not saw one red cent from that movie. His family, one thing about the King family, they are screwed up and dysfunctional, but one thing that Coretta did, who was a Taurus like me, she made sure she got that stuff arranged where her kids could eat off of the legacy of her husband, of their father. Whatever you may think about the King family, we all are a byproduct of this racist capitalistic system. So why would they want to make a movie about a man who was against this racist capitalistic system, who was for the proletariat? He was for the people. Live for the people, die for the people, get high off the people, right? That's who Fred Hampton was. So this was a miracle they got this movie to even be made, to be honest with you. And I had low expectations for these type of movies, because I never trust Hollywood to tell our stories right. If they could tell the truth about who we are, that's better than in an Avengers movie. That's better than anything Marvel Studios could come up with if you told the truth about the amazing greatness of Black people. So yeah, Daniel Kaluuya did a good job, did a very good job. But it'd been nice if a Foundation of Black American could have played. I'm not saying he can't play. He's an actor. It's make believe, crying out loud. It's make believe. But it'd been nice to see a Foundation of Black American who's more connected to our story in this land could play that. But Denzel Washington played Steve Biko in Cry Freedom, and Terrence Howard played Nelson Mandela, and even what Eldris Elba or Elba, whatever Idris Elba played Nelson Mandela. I saw that. He pulled it off to a degree. Even though he's not from South Africa, he's not from that part of Africa. He was able to pull it off, did a serviceable job. I just wish sometimes it'd be nice to get the person that played these historical roles for black people to kind of look like the person they playing. I would like that. With the exception, you had Malcolm. Denzel played Malcolm. And even though Denzel is not red, he wasn't red like Malcolm. He had his spirit, because I'm going to tell you why. Denzel grew up in a household where his daddy was a preacher. Malcolm's daddy was a preacher that was always gone on the road. Denzel's father was a preacher that was always on the road, whatever, going doing his thing. So he understood what it was to be a preacher's kid, and also the study. And I believe Denzel's an earth sign. And something too, like I'm a Taurus, right? I believe William O'Neill was an Aries. He was born April 9th. The informant. Informer. Something about earth signs. We dig each other. Coretta was a Taurus. King was a Capricorn. That works. That works. But anyway, not to get deep into that, let's talk about the snitch, the rat, the informant, William O'Neill, right? Let's talk about him. I'm almost 40 minutes in. So hopefully I'm not wasting y'all time. But I'm probably doing another show. But I said, how can I do somebody else's show and not really do my show about my take on the movie? But go see the movie. It's worth go seeing. Yeah, this is what I want to talk about right quick. Man, God go to PBS. Independent Lens got a great documentary about the first Rainbow Coalition that Fred Hampton put together. Interviewed people that actually he worked with, like the Young Lords, the Young Patriots, the Students for a Democratic Society. He also worked with the street gangs, like the Black Peastone Nation. That's Jeff Fort. The Crown was representing the Peastone Nation. That really was representing Jeff Fort in the Black Peastone Rangers. Jeff Fort, founding the L. Ruckins, and then now they got him in the Supermax on some BS. But check out the first Rainbow Coalition. You can stream it online via PBS. PBS.org is an Independent Lens documentary. I mean, it's under an hour. They do a great job of basically laying out who Fred Hampton was and his ability to unite people across races and socioeconomic lines. That's why they had to take him out. But the first Rainbow Coalition, just 56 minutes and 5 seconds, and it is worth viewing. It is worth viewing. I mean, it was amazing. And shout out to Sister Denise for giving me that information on how to find this amazing documentary. So they interviewing actual people, like Che Jimenez, the leader of the Young Lords. They interviewed him, and this brother right here was a Panther that I'm pointing to with this pointing thing on my browser. His name was actually Bobby Lee, but his real name was Robert E. Lee Jr. I think it was either Robert E. Lee Jr. or Robert E. Lee II. From Houston, Texas. When he told them white folks over there, them young patriots, yeah, y'all do, because like in that scene with Fred Hampton going to that meeting, that's who they'll go. They're going to meet with the young patriots in their part of town. You gotta remember, in that same part of town in Chicago's very racially polarized. There's a famous photo of Dr. King getting hit in the head with a brick. His reaction after getting hit in the head with a brick. And that happened in Chicago. That didn't happen in Alabama or Mississippi. That happened in Chicago. I think Dr. King said something to the effect that he feared more for his life in Chicago than he did in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where they kidnapped and lynched those 3 civil rights workers, Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman. He had more fear for his life in Chicago than down in Mississippi. We talked about Chicago and Cicero, Illinois. We were talking about Michelle Clark, one of the first Black TV anchor women who got killed in that Watergate plane crash. They ran her family out of Cicero. About 5,000 white people try to lynch her little family. So the stuff is real. But yeah, check out this documentary about the first real Rainbow Coalition. Because Jesse Jackson stole that from Fred Hampton about the Rainbow Coalition. You understand? He took that idea from Fred Hampton, but Fred Hampton was the real deal, man. 5,000 folks came to his funeral, man, to pay homage to the man. Was the real deal. And since he's been taken out, look at Chicago now. I mean, look, they talk about Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford. And let me tell y'all this. Jeff Ford is from Mississippi. Larry Hoover is from Mississippi. Fred Hampton's people from Louisiana. So they all just moved up there. But Jeff Ford was a cat. Around the time he was dealing with Fred Hampton, he was functionally illiterate. He couldn't read or write. But yet he was able to sway the 68 election in favor of Richard Milhouse Nixon. Nixon won Chicago because of Jeff Ford. Just like Kennedy won Chicago and Illinois back in 1960 because of La Cosa Nostra, the outfit, the mob. The same mob that J. Edgar Hoover wanted to take out Dick Gregory. So 8 years later, Jeff Ford, a black gang organizer, won Chicago for Richard Milhouse Nixon. And I believe he got an invite to attend the inauguration of Richard Nixon. So Fred Hampton was trying to work with this guy to politicize him for black liberation and self-determination. You're trying to connect the head to the body, and the powers that be said, hell no. Hell no. Because that's what Fred was about. And this guy, he's just 21 years old. And I believe, according to some sources, now y'all can correct me, he was his only leadership in the Black Panther of Illinois for 6 months. He did all this stuff. So he had to go. But even Jesse Jackson, brother Noah Robinson, I believe. This man was an Ivy League educated dude. He was trying to organize the gangs of Chicago. And I believe he's doing prison time right now. I don't know if he's out of prison, but he's been in prison for a minute. Look up Noah Robinson. That's Jesse Jackson's hell brother. Chicago is a gangster town, man. It's a gang town. Shit, Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover could have been the mayors of Chicago. They ain't no different than what Richard Daley did to get power in Chicago, Gangster Daley. Richard Daley Sr., gang leader coming up, Irish gang leader. You think about Anton Cermak, who was a mayor of Chicago. He tried to assassinate Frank Nitti using the police. They tried to kill Frank Nitti, and people said that he was assassinated down in Florida, and he was the actual target and not Franklin Roosevelt. See, him and Franklin Roosevelt was down in Miami back in 1933. I believe it was March of 33 in the parade, and this Italian immigrant named Giuseppe Zangara was shooting at Roosevelt's car. He was a little short guy too. I think somebody knocked into him to try to mess up his aim. He ended up hitting Anton Cermak instead of Roosevelt, allegedly. But like mafiosos like Lucky Luciano said that Anton Cermak was the intended target because he's trying to use his office as mayor of Chicago to take over organized crime in the city. He wanted the mayor office to run organized crime in Chicago, but he came up with the coalition. See, Chicago politics is about coalition politics. It's about we all work together to get one common goal. That's how Harold Washington was able to become the first black mayor of Chicago using rainbow coalition tactics. When we talk about rainbow coalition back then, we wasn't talking about no LGBTQIADWY, whatever. They were talking about race. It's a race war. But if we all racing towards the same goal, we can get there faster, and there's still enough pieces of the pie to go around. So Chicago politics have always been very fascinating to me. It's about coalition politics. So Anton Cermak was trying to do that and also take over organized crime. They got rid of him. Richard Daley did it very successfully for almost 30 years as mayor of Chicago. He was like mayor of Chicago about 21 years or 20 years, very long time. But so they would never let a black person get that type of power. That scene in Malcolm X where he was directing the Muslims and the crowd at the police station and did this stuff right here. He halted them and told them to go, and they all went. That actually happened. And somebody actually did say that there's too much power for one man to have. See, for Fred Hampton, there was too much power for one man to have, especially at 21 years old. Especially at 21 years old. No, we can't let him do that. We got to get rid of him. Ain't no way. Because you're not even, your brain ain't fully matured until you about 26 years old. And Fred already had a command of the language. He knew how to move the crowd, to do things. Very charismatic, very brilliant political strategist. So I mean, he's always about heightening the contradictions. Like when they started the free breakfast program, then the government said, let's do free breakfast for the kids before school. And that's why we got them free. That's why kids get they get the breakfast and lunch at school now because of what Fred Hampton and the Panthers did. Fred Hampton, they were among the first people to start testing for sickle cell at the free health clinics. So every time they did something, it forced the powers that be to follow suit in order to control the people. So that was meant by heightening the contradictions. Just like now, I go to a restaurant. Okay, you said I don't wear a mask, I can't be served. But when I get served, I can take out my mask and eat for 2 hours in your venue. What sense for it make for me to have a mask going into the venue, but then I can take it off and just eat in your venue without a mask on for 2 hours? You gotta heighten the contradictions, okay? So this is what it's all about, man. Your mind is your greatest weapon. If you don't control your mind will control you. If you don't control your mind will control you. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it sounded good when I was thinking about it. But okay, I think I'm doing good on time. Let me see. Let's talk about William O'Neill. You know what's interesting? Like, you got all these photos and images of William O'Neill and Fred Hampton, but you can't find no photo of FBI agent and William O'Neill's handler, Roy M. Mitchell. Was it Roy Martin Mitchell? I can't find no photos of this guy. I think that's interesting how white folks protect their devils even in death. You can't even hold this guy. He's a phantom. Like, he doesn't exist. Like, yeah, there's obituaries about him, but where is the face of the man who helped give up the floor plans to the powers that be to take out Fred Hampton? They really doing a great job of hiding this man. And he allegedly died back in September 2000. But let's talk about the Judas. It's fascinating. I'm trying to see if I can find stuff. Is this it? Okay, that's William O'Neill, right? Lakeith Stanfield kind of looked like the man. And there's Fred Hampton in the casket. About 5,000 people attended his funeral services. I mean, he had a lot of people that respect this man. I mean, even the rank and file black leadership respected Fred Hampton. Southern Christian Leadership Council, they all came out. Ralph Abernathy, Jesse Jackson spoke at his funeral. Roy Wilkins, the leader of the NAACP, they all had a lot of respect for Fred Hampton. Because Fred Hampton used to work for the NAACP Youth Council when he was a teenager in Maywood. He grew that council to about 700 members. That man was amazing. But that's William O'Neill on the left, the guy, he was about 20 years old when they took out Fred Hampton. But let me read some stuff on him. And I appreciate y'all patience at this time. Oh, man, it's a lot of stuff to go through, but let me do it proper. And read this quick thing about William O'Neill, the snitch. William O'Neill, sunrise, April 9th, 1949, sunset, January 15th, 1990, was an FBI informant known for playing a role in the 1969 assassination of Black Panther Party leader Fred Hampton. Okay. William O'Neill was a career criminal in Chicago, doing everything from car theft and home invasion to kidnapping and torture. In 1966, when he was about 17 years old, he was caught by FBI agent Roy Martin Mitchell, who tracked O'Neill down for stealing a car and driving it across state lines to Michigan. In exchange for having his felony charges dropped, O'Neill agreed to infiltrate the Panthers as a counterintelligence operative. Despite just being a teenager, O'Neill quickly became tasked with being among the heads of Black Panther leader Fred Hampton's security and had keys to several Panther headquarters and safe houses. The FBI deemed Hampton too effective, and they had O'Neill give them the layout of an apartment on Monroe Street in the West Side where Hampton lived and the Panthers gathered, so they could prepare their raid. On the evening of December 3rd, 1969, Hampton taught a political education class at a local church, attended by most Panther members. Afterward, he and several Panthers went to his apartment, and around midnight, they ate a dinner prepared by O'Neill. O'Neill slipped secobarbital into Hampton's drink so he would not wake up during the secret police raid and assassination. O'Neill left at about 1:30 a.m. December 4th, Hampton fell asleep while talking to his mother on the telephone. At 4 a.m., the heavily armed police team arrived at the apartment and at 4:45 a.m. stormed inside. Mark Clark, sitting in the front of the apartment with a shotgun in his lap on security duty, was shot in the chest and killed instantly. The rest of the apartment was cleared out, and witnesses heard two bangs, presumably the close range shots at the back of Hampton's head that killed him. In January 1970, a coroner's jury held an inquest and ruled the deaths of Hampton and Clark to be justifiable homicide. O'Neill's involvement in the raid was revealed in 1973, and he was relocated to California under the alias of William Hart via the Federal Witness Protection Program. He secretly returned to Chicago in 1984. On April 13th, 1989, O'Neill was interviewed for the PBS documentary Eyes on the Prize 2. In the extensive interview, he described being recruited by the FBI to become an informant and provide information about Fred Hampton, chairman of the Chicago Black Panther Party. He gave details about his impressions and experiences working in the Black Panther Party, his relationship with FBI agent Roy Mitchell, and his feelings about his activities and his role. He denied having drugged Hampton the night before he was assassinated. In the early hours of January 15th, 1990, O'Neill ran into traffic on Interstate 290. That's the Eisenhower Freeway or Expressway, from my understanding, in Chicago. Was hit by a car and killed. He was 40 years old. His death was ruled a suicide, although his wife claimed it was accidental. Early in the evening, O'Neill had been drinking and attempted to jump out a second-story window, but was pulled back inside. O'Neill's uncle, Ben Hurd, said that O'Neill had cooperated with the FBI to reduce his own potential jail time, then got in way over his head and was forever tortured by the guilt, and that he never thought it would come to all this. O'Neill himself never felt like it was a betrayal of Hampton or the group, later recalling, "I had no allegiance to the Panthers." Okay, so yeah, I read about it. I don't know what to make of this stuff, man. You know, I think he had a son when he died, so his son would be in his 30s right now, and it'll be interesting to talk to his son. Be very much interesting to talk to him about his father. You know, but it's a lot going on there. You know, y'all should check out the Eyes on the Prize series, the whole thing, part 1 and part 2. Check out the Fred Hampton piece they did with William O'Neill. I actually am a fellow alum of Henry Hampton. We both went to Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. He was class of 1960. He was the mind behind the Eyes on the Prize series. It was his idea. And his father was a surgeon, was the chief surgeon and director of the Homer G. Phillips Hospital. Now, I just did that picture on the Homer G. Phillips some years ago. That's the guy who made sure the city of St. Louis set aside $1 million to build a state-of-the-art black hospital, City Hospital number 2. You want to make sure that black folks got great healthcare treatment in the city of St. Louis. So as a lawyer, he was a lawyer. He took on the powers to be. They had to set aside $1 million for the building of that hospital. And he was assassinated while waiting on a streetcar to go to work back, I believe, in 1931 by 2 black men. So that's the picture I did in honor of Homer G. Phillips. They named the hospital after him. And at one point, that hospital trained more black nurses and doctors than any place in the country, or probably in the world. They trained so many black nurses and doctors at that hospital, including one of my heroes, Dr. T.I.M. Howard, who was the wealthiest black man in Mississippi at one point, the guy who helped finance the first independent investigation into the murder of Emmett Lewis Till, the guy who was a Jegna to the Evers brothers. Medgar Evers gave him his job coming out of college, working at his insurance company. Charles Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer, T.I.M. Howard was one of the first black leaders to raise money for the family of Malcolm X after his assassination. He was the guy that gave Jesse Jackson the seed money to start his organization in his mansion on the south side of Chicago. He gave Jesse Jackson the seed money to start his Rainbow Coalition. So we don't even remember those type of people. I guess they got to do a movie about Dr. T.I.M. Howard for y'all to understand or understand who this great man was. But he used to live in Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and his home still stands. It's a ranch-style home where Emmett Till's mom, Mamie Till, would stay during the trial for the men who allegedly killed her son, J.W. Malum and Roy Bryant. Armed security detail 24 hours around the clock. It was like a fortress for Mamie Till. She says she felt so safe and comfortable with T.I.M. Howard. Well, I think Congressman Charles Diggs from Michigan stayed with Dr. Howard as well, too. But he was an amazing man. But anyway. But Henry Hampton, the guy who created the Eyes on the Prize series, he also did that great documentary about Malcolm X called Make It Plain, where he interviewed colleagues and the family and even adversaries of Malcolm X. Great documentary about Malcolm. Make It Plain. And what inspired him to do this Eyes on the Prize series was that he went down to Selma with this white ministry group, I think Unitarians or something like that. And he met Dr. King down in Selma, and he got the idea the movement needs to be told from our perspective and documented by us and for us for posterity. So he spent almost 20 years of his life trying to put together the Eyes on the Prize series. Many of us take this for granted. This man literally had people going around the country saving all that archival civil rights footage from garbage bins. You had these news stations that had all this civil rights footage that we take for granted now. You know, all this stuff that y'all take, like the Bloody Sunday, Edmund Pettus Bridge crossing, dogs and fire hoses being sicked on black people. He saved a lot of that footage from being lost to history. They were literally getting this stuff out of garbage bins. And he was putting all this stuff together. Also, he was working with people who never got a chance for whatever reason in the business. I mean, in the movie business, film, television. These was the folks that nobody wanted. And by them working with Henry Hampton, they became the best of the best in their field. They were in demand. Like they some of the top award-winning producers and all this stuff, editors and all that. I had a chance to have lunch with Sam Pollard. He's the editor for a lot of Spike Lee's best movies like Malcolm X, Four Little Girls, When the Levees Broke. He also edited a lot of stuff for Martin Scorsese's Blues documentary series. So I was blessed my senior year at WashU in the alumni house to sit down with him to pick his brain about Henry Hampton. Henry Hampton died in 98. At the time of his death, his Black Side Film Production Company was the largest Black-owned film production company in the world. From my understanding, his Black Side Production Company was the biggest Black-owned media company in the world. This before Tyler Perry and what he's doing down in Georgia. See, we don't even, a lot of y'all never heard of Henry Hampton, but y'all know his work. So I said, Eyes on the Prize. So my Jegna, the late, great Dean James McLeod, was able to outbid a lot of people to secure his archives. Like all the Eyes on the Prize footage, the interviews, the transcripts, they are available at WashU in St. Louis, where I went to school. I actually had a chance back in 2009 to spend a week in the archives. They're incredible. But a lot of this stuff is digitized now. And Henry Hampton, what a righteous ancestor. He did what he was meant to do in this world. But he's the reason why we got any footage of William O'Neill, talking about his experiences infiltrating the Black Panther Party. So let me do this right quick. I'm about to get out of here and go on somebody else's show to talk about what I'm talking about now. But I just want to make sure I do it on my show first. And thank y'all for being very patient. I'm trying to find this stuff. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. It's Eyes on the Prize series. Go to digital.wusl.edu. That's digital.wustl.edu/Eyes on the Prize. They got everything here on the Eyes on the Prize series. They got video footage, the interviews, the transcripts, a lot of extra stuff. This is amazing archival resource for our story. So there's no excuse. Brother Ron just gave y'all where y'all can go to see not only just the Eyes on the Prize docu-series, but a lot of information behind making that amazing cultural achievement. And I had a chance, like I said, I talked to Sam Pollard, and I talked to him about Henry Hampton. I said, what type of man was he? And I can remember, like he said this yesterday. He said, look, he wasn't no filmmaker. He didn't know nothing about filmmaking, but he knew how to bring people together for a cause bigger than themselves. So he was like a motivator, like Fred. He knew how to motivate and inspire people to give it their best for a cause bigger than themselves. And look what we got. Got this amazing legacy work, the Eyes on the Prize. So keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. I want to thank everybody who's been donating. Thank you so much, Brother Steve Mayfield. I think I want to see you guys some shout outs there, some blackout shout outs. Life is interesting. Let's see. Make sure I shout y'all out. Mackenzie Campbell, thank you. We love you madly. Charles Staples, we love you madly. Brother Dominique, we love you madly. Thank y'all, brothers. This is coming in right on time. It's an honor to be a service to the people, baby. Yay, yay. But yeah, I got about 10 more minutes. Let me let's talk about Roy Martin Mitchell. Like I said, that was the handler for William O'Neill. And you can't find no photo or image of this guy online. White folks do a great job of hiding their devils. They're degenerates, but they also do a good job of spending them for legacy. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. All right. Where is it? Okay. Let's connect the dots. Share the screen. Keep your eyes on the prize. Okay. I think y'all can see it. Roy Mitchell, 66, key FBI agent here. That's Chicago. That Totland town. That's the Chicago Tribune. So he was somebody of importance in Chicago history if he got an obit in the Chicago Tribune, right? By Maurice Posler, Tribune staff writer, September 26, 2000. So this is like over 20 years ago. In his 25 years as an FBI agent working on some of the most famous cases in the nation in Chicago, Roy Martin Mitchell remained a taciturn man who specialized in persuading witnesses to talk. Mr. Mitchell, a native of Fountain County, Indiana, died Saturday, September 23rd of cancer in Ball Memorial Hospital in Muncie, Indiana. He was 66. He worked in FBI offices in Indianapolis, New Orleans, New York City, Chicago, and Meridian, Mississippi. It was in Mississippi in 1964 that he played an instrumental role in solving the murders of 3 civil rights workers in Neshoba County. The case was later the subject of the movie Mississippi Burning. In Chicago, he was pivotal in solving what became known as the River Killings, the murders of several young men on Chicago's west side. He later played a key role in the Hit Squad case, in which Chicago Police Sergeant Stanley Robinson was convicted of assassinating drug dealers in the early 1970s. Mr. Mitchell also developed an informant who infiltrated the Black Panther Party and ultimately supplied the floor plan that was used for the December 1969 police raid in which Panther leaders Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were slain. Roy Mitchell was the finest agent I ever worked with and the most dedicated, said U.S. District Judge Charles Kokoros, who, as an assistant U.S. attorney, prosecuted Robinson. He had an uncanny ability to get close to people and to get them to talk, Kokoris said. I remember one time when we were looking for a witness and we went to a tavern on a Friday night on Chicago's west side where we believed the witness once worked. An agent and a prosecutor, we stood out in this place. He showed his credentials and the owner said he didn't know anything. Roy took out his credentials again. He didn't swear. He didn't raise his voice. He just said, "Take a look at this, sir. Now I want you to go in the back and get the information I need right now." We had the information in less than 2 minutes. He would not take no for an answer. Mitchell had as many as 9 informants in the Black Panther Party. Mitchell had as many as 9 informants in the Black Panther Party before the controversial raid. Wow. His most significant was William O'Neill, a former teen car thief who became chief of security for the Panthers. Mitchell was the last person you might think would strike up a relationship with a black teenager in the 1960s, Kokoris said. But he became like a father to O'Neill, and he trusted Roy at a time when not many people trusted anybody. A native of Newton, Indiana, Mitchell was an Army veteran of the Korean War and graduated from Indiana University before joining the FBI. He moved to Muncie in 1975, where he remained after his retirement in 1985, coaching Little League baseball, basketball, and soccer. He was a member of the Masonic Lodge in Newtown. Mr. Mitchell is survived by 2 sons, Tim and Anthony, and a daughter, Katie Yohi. Or Yohi. Okay. So I guess he's a real American hero, huh? That's how they portray him, right? A real American hero. So we learned that it was like 9 informants, not just William O'Neill. The Panthers were very compromised. Now, I talked about it on the show. One of the founding members of the Panther Party, a Japanese American guy, was an FBI informant. And he was the one that was the gun connection for the Panthers out there in the West Coast, in the left coast. We talked about that, right? So it's some heavy stuff, but that even in the obit, they don't have no picture of Roy Martin Mitchell. They really protect this guy. I have not seen a documentary that has a picture. I mean, I found pictures of Raul. James Earl Ray said there was a Raul that was his handler. Now, Judge Joe Brown said, Raul doesn't exist. I have found pictures of this guy known as Raul. And I would say that for another show. So there's no pictures of this guy who worked for the government, Roy Martin Mitchell. You can't find no pictures, not even his obit. Okay, that's interesting. So, okay, it's about that time, about to wrap it up. I had so much to share, but no, it was a scene. Okay, yeah. Now they scene, the death scene, right? Mark Clark was actually sleeping. I don't know, in the movie, I'm gonna say you can't trust the movie, right? Mark Clark, from my understanding, was asleep with the gun when the police came into the apartment. He got shot in the chest and in reaction let off a shot. And the cops shot, they had shot up 99 rounds to that one round because it was reflexive. Because like he was sleeping with the gun, sitting back in the chair or the couch. They came in, shoot him in the chest. He let one off as a reflex, and then they started shooting up the place. They said there was 14 police that came in, 9 white, 5 black, right? And they all was really shooting towards their bedroom because they had the floor plan on where the bedroom was located. Now, from my understanding, William O'Neal claimed that he didn't put no sleeping stuff inside of Chairman Fred's Kool-Aid. And so if you had 9 informants, he may not have did it. It could have been somebody else that put that stuff in Chairman Fred's Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? But in the movie, it makes you believe there were white police officers that shot Chairman Fred in terms of giving him the death shot, the shot to the head. He got shot twice in the head. Actually, from my understanding, it was a black cop named James Gloves Davis. Gloves was his nickname because he was known for putting on gloves before he started beating up on people. He was known for putting on gloves. That's how he won't leave no fingerprints, I guess. But from my understanding, he was the one who delivered the kill shot to Fred Hampton. He shot him twice in the head. So, and I told you that Fred Hampton's mother babysitted Emmett Till. From my understanding, it was a black man, Willie Lee Loggins, who delivered the kill shot to Emmett Till, who shot Emmett Till in the head. So this is eerie, but it's not surprising. So that's why you can't always go on these movies, man. But I think the movie was well made for what it is. I think it was well made considering the process they had to go through to even dare to make a movie like it. So it was a good starting point for those people who are not familiar with the Black Panther Party, especially with the amazing, tragic, triumphant story of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. So, in closing, because like I said, if I didn't have to do something else, this probably would end up being longer than the movie. My reviews are notorious for being longer than the movies because I'm trying to give y'all some type of historical context that a lot of other folks ain't giving y'all. That's the we all be way. That's why it take me a long time to try to even want to do a live stream. I'm trying to just do research and say, I want people to know this and that. I might get some stuff wrong, but I want y'all to be understanding. I'm just a one-man crew. And I want to encourage you all, just don't take my word for it. Take a look. It's all online or in a book. And also, FBI So Dirty. Look, y'all got to read this book, The Plot to Kill Clean by Dr. William Pepper. We interviewed him before. I'm going to have to probably get him back on the show again very soon. The gun that killed Dr. King came from the FBI. The floor plan that helped kill Fred Hampton came from the FBI. The FBI has done so much damage to undermine Black self-determination, liberation in this country, starting with Marcus Garvey. How in the hell, people, can you trust the government? We know that they do stuff like this to our people, and we supposed to be so-called American citizens. So the gun that killed MLK could be traced back to the FBI. The floor plan that helped assassinate and kill Fred Hampton and Mark Clark could be traced back to the FBI. Do you see how it works? Do you see how it works? Connect the dots. La, 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 la. Connect the dots. Okay. Also, there was a scene in the movie where, where Fred Hampton goes to the lair of the Crowns. He approaches the Crown leader, which is based on Jeff Fort and the Black Peace Stone. That's based on Jeff Fort. And Jeff Fort showed him this newspaper, a Panther newspaper of them talking bad about the Crown. Now, in real life, the FBI did send letters to Jeff Fort claiming that the Black Panther Party had a hit out on his life. They were trying to assassinate him. And I think they sent letters to the Black Panthers and Fred Hampton claiming that Jeff Fort and the Stone Nation wanted to get rid of him. And I'm telling you, these people are so dirty. FBI is so dirty, baby. So I'm going to show this. I'm going to get out of here. And we'll talk about this later. Y'all talk about that Black Lives Matter coloring book, right? Don't you know that the FBI had a Black Panther coloring book that they will mail to people's homes to try to depict the Black Panthers as terrorists? That sound familiar? So they actually made a Black Panther coloring book where they'll mail to white family homes to depict the Black Panthers a certain way. And I'm going to show this right quick. You could download the whole Black Panther coloring book online, man. It's amazing. Yeah, the COINTELPRO to sabotage the legitimate dissent, the Black Panther coloring book. And you go to whatreallyhappened.com, yada, yada, yada. But just type in FBI Black Panther coloring book on your browser, it'll pop up, right? So this is what we do. Nobody's doing this, but we all be. This is how we break it down, man. We take it to a science. The Black Panther coloring book, right? This is but one horrific example of the tactics used by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to stifle legitimate dissent and violate the civil rights of political groups that the administration dislikes. Along with the anti-war movement, the Nixon White House targeted the civil rights movement for disruption, using on-campus informants to infiltrate and, in many cases, to disrupt legal protests and activism. This coloring book, which was purported to be from the Black Panthers, had actually been rejected by them when it was brought to them by a man later revealed to have intelligence connections. Not to be troubled by the fact that the Panthers found the coloring book revolting, the FBI added even more offensive illustrations and mass mailed it across America. This is why you shouldn't trust no mail-in votes. It so infuriated the white population that they stopped listening to the legitimate grievances of the Black people. While it can be argued that such an action did not technically violate the rights of the Black Panthers to free speech, even as it sabotaged the willingness of the people to listen, it is apparent that such a divisive act violated the rights of the people, Black and white, to peacefully assemble. At the time, I asked my parents if it didn't seem odd to have a book purported to be by Blacks for Black children mailed to a white household. But I was outvoted in what was a functionally democratic household. But heck, most of us still thought Oswald acted alone then as well. I had thought the actual coloring book lost forever, relegated to a mere footnote in the congressional inquiry into COINTELPRO, when the wonder what is the internet brought it into the light again. So I'm gonna show some images from the book, and then I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna show some images from this crazy book. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is what our government do. They use our tax dollars to sabotage our way of life, our quality of life. So y'all wait on those stimulus checks all you want to. Oh man, let me share this. Yeah, ain't no time flew by that fast. Jeez. Show some of these footage though. Black Panther coloring book, y'all. Your government tax dollars at work to sabotage your people. Yeah. Take a look. Take a look. It's all online. So I just want to show y'all these images, and I'm getting out of here. Y'all trying to get me in trouble, and some good trouble. I'm trying to get in some good trouble. Get in some good trouble. So they're showing all this, black. Imagine you white people eating your cornflakes, looking at, I don't know, something white on TV, and you see this coming in your mailbox. Nothing new, folks. The games, the games, the games. The games, the games, the games they play. I'm going to show one more picture and I'm out of here. Thank y'all for being very patient. It's a very interesting time we're living in. I already showed that. Okay. Get rid of that. See if I can find one more. Okay, yeah. Take it all in. All right. So thank y'all so much for tuning in and for your donations. Y'all know I support Cash App R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. PayPal, Google Pay, even Zelle, R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Vimo at R2C2H2. So thank you all And knowing the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing, and look for me in the whirlwind. And know that the best is yet to come. Thank y'all for being very patient with me, for putting up with my craziness. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting year. It's going by real fast. And let me say a disclaimer, and then I'm getting out of here. The disclaimer, okay? The views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group, Inc. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints/expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support, and thank y'all. Once again, we love you madly. The support by Art of His Art, R2C2H2.com. Can wear Art of His Art. Got my, my shirt on, the brothers M and Baba Dick too. Mega, Malcolm and Martin and Dick. Go to Teespring, the Teespring shelf located below the description box here on the YouTubes. And I'll see y'all later, and know that the best is yet to come. Thank y'all so much. We love you madly. On to the next one. On to the next. On to the next. See how it works?